Hello everybody, my name is Karryshh and welcome back to another recap video. This time it's our latest Taiwanese horror movie, Mystery Writers. It's a story about a psychic who wants to uncover the mystery behind her mother's death in a haunted building. It was an okayish watch, but watch the video till end and decide if you want to watch this movie or not. On top of that, if you're new here, please make sure to subscribe and like this video. It really helps me out a lot. With that said, sit back and relax as I recap Mystery Writers for you. So the movie begins with a man who comes inside a building. He goes to the 4th floor probably cause he has heard about a brothel that runs there. However, as the man walks, someone writes his story in a computer. The man reaches the 4th floor, but there he witnessed that the entire place was burned to the ashes. Meanwhile, the owner of that computer, Liu, comes back and sees that someone had written a story about a man who will die in front of the building. Liu actually was a horror writer who has come to this building looking for inspiration, and now he rushes outside. And outside, we see a delivery man, but suddenly, the man who went to visit the brothel falls on the delivery man from above and the two dies horribly. It shocks Liu, and after a while, cops arrive at the scene and take care of the bodies. Then we meet Pei, a psychic who's living in this building for a few months now. However, Pei had a motive. She wants to solve the mystery of this building cause since the fire at 4th floor, people often die around here. Now the news of the man's death spreads around the building and people begin roaming here and there. In that hassle, we meet with Francisca and her daughter Zhao. When Francisca was busy talking, Zhao wanders off and finds a doll at the staircase. But then she sees a spirit of a little boy that scared her. However, Francisca came and fetched her daughter, and we also get to meet with Ting, a strange man who runs after seeing Francisca. Back on Pei, who does a weird spell incantation in the building to find out what happened to that man. But Liu saw Pei doing that in a CCTV camera, since he was also monitoring the building CCTV. Liu then went and followed Pei into the building and to her apartment at the 3rd floor, thinking that Pei might be up to something mysterious. However, soon Pei catches Liu, and Liu tells Pei the truth that he knows what she was doing. But then Pei grabs Liu's collar and dragged him into her apartment, forbidding him from spreading misinformation. Pei asks Liu to not film around, and Liu reveals that he wants to interview Pei for his novel. He wants to know her story and what she's doing here. First, Pei declines, but then Liu offers a part of the money he will get from his book. Now to tell Liu her story, Pei takes him on the haunted 4th floor, which sent shiver down his spine. In that place, Pei reveals that 20 years ago, a brothel used to run this place. Scene goes in the past, where we get to see that brothel with dozens of lady workers. Pei then reveals that a fire killed all the lady workers of that brothel, and then she takes Liu in a room, and that room belonged to a woman named Shen, who died in the fire, and she was mother of Pei. When Pei was little, she used to stay with her grandmother, and Shen only visited her sometimes. We find out that Pei's father was in a lot of debt, and when he died, the debt passed on to his wife. Bad people used to come and threaten Shen for money, and it was the reason she became a lady worker in the first place. Despite all this, Shen loved her daughter very much. She promised her one day to come home early and play with her. Mother and daughter also held the same mole on their palms. However, then for an unknown reason, Shen committed unalivement at that brothel, and she set the place on fire before doing that. No one knows why Shen did that, but her mother's death broke Pei. She then prayed to gods and wished for powers that will help her uncover the truth, and soon she began seeing spirits. She practiced her powers for 20 years and now she's ready to solve the mystery of this building and find out why her mother unalived herself and burned this place down. Pei ends her story in front of Liu, and then she says that something is going to happen in the building. She runs to check it out, and the scene goes on Francesca, who wakes up at night and finds that her daughter is missing. Francesca goes to find Zhao, but some paranormal activities occur around her. In the end, Francesca finds Zhao, but suddenly Zhao turned into the evil spirit of that boy from earlier. The boy was possessing Zhao, and he said to Francesca that she's not his mother, which scares her. But in the last moment came Pei, and she uses a quick spell and exorcises Zhao successfully. Meanwhile, Liu follows a voice in the parking area, but that noise was made by a homeless woman who collects empty cans for recycling, and we've seen this woman multiple times so far. Anyway, after saving Francesca, Zhao Pei leaves their apartment, telling them to be cautious and also beckoning that boy to follow her. That boy followed Pei outside where Pei talks to him, and the boy was actually looking for his mother. But we also see that someone is following Pei and was recording her wearing black gloves. The boy tells Pei what her mother looks like, and then Pei takes him to that homeless woman. It turns out that this woman was that boy's mother, and he died in the building's fire 20 years ago. Since that time, the boy was wandering around in hope that one day her mother can listen to him again. And that day, with the help of Pei, the mother and the boy talked to each other, spent some time together, and in the end, the boy rested in peace. The woman thanked Pei, and the scene goes back on Liu, who gets a shock after seeing something else written on his screen. It was a warning that said something about a woman in red who's getting stronger. Now back in the past, we see Shen and her best friend Bai Shi. Both were in the same business and they were each other's ride or die. One day Bai Shi broke Shen's expensive bangle, but they then kept one part each as a reminder of their friendship. Then one evening, something happened which definitely includes both Shen and Bai Shi. It ended with the fire and both died. Now this all was actually occurring inside of Pei's dream, and now she wakes up confused about what she saw. Next day, Pei goes in a temple to pray, and then she meets with Chia, the priest who helps Pei. Chia reads Pei's horoscope, which dictates a major sense of knowledge in the forthcoming future. With their chit-chats, we also find out that Pei actually had sent every spirit from that building to rest, except two, and one of them belongs to her mother. Chia also gives Pei a beaded rosary, which will protect her from evil. Scene goes on a woman named Yoon Lee, who lives in that building. Yoon Lee was feeding a stray cat when we see that a story about Yoon Lee is getting written in Liu's computer. The story goes with the landlord of that place forcing himself on Yoon Lee. Now Yoon Lee enters the elevator, but Ting follows her, and we witness that Ting is wearing black gloves, and it means he's the guy who's keeping track of Pei for some reason. Yoon Lee gets creeped out by Ting and she runs home. There the landlord comes and asks for rent, and then he starts forcing himself on Yoon Lee, knowing that she doesn't have rent. However, Yoon Lee escapes by pointing out a CCTV camera. When landlord sees the camera, he leaves, and Yoon Lee cries, but then a woman in red appears near her. Back on landlord, who was about to leave but couldn't because Yoon Lee come to see him. Thinking Yoon Lee is ready to sleep with him, the landlord approaches her, but suddenly a truck comes by and crushes the landlord to his death. Yoon Lee becomes evil, and it means the woman in red possessed Yoon Lee so she can clean garbage like that landlord. Meanwhile, Liu comes in his room after shower and sees a new story on his screen. It obviously scares him and he shuts down the computer, but then he senses an evil presence around him. After a while, that possessed Yoon Lee comes to the 4th floor and goes inside a room where the spirit leaves her body. When Yoon Lee wakes up, she was shocked to find herself there, and then she ran, but suddenly that evil spirit comes in front of her and scared her to hell. She ran, but the spirit followed. In the end, she entered the elevator where she crossed paths with Pei. Pei brings Yuli back to her place and there she did her exorcism and saved her. Yuli says thank you and then she tells Pei everything that happened to her. Now since Yuli was possessed by one of those two spirits, Pei ends up hypnotizing Yuli and then she reveals some interesting information. Yuli says that the spirit is lonely and she wants to be free. When she was alive, she asked for help from everyone, but no one listened to her. Yuli also makes a weird design using geometric shapes, but Pei can't figure out what that design means yet. After this, Pei gives Yuli a talisman so she doesn't get possessed again, and then Pei goes on the terrace. Meanwhile, Liu witnessed another story getting written, and now something is going to happen at the terrace. It means there's a spirit who's warning him what's gonna happen next. Now Pei witnessed the woman in red standing on the road, but suddenly she attacks her. But that wasn't it, because after getting attacked by that ghost, Ting attacks her. Ting uses a wooden cue to try and murder Pei, which confuses her more than it terrifies her. She handles Ting and then to help Pei, Liu comes. In the end, Ting runs away but Pei and Liu follows him because Pei wanted to know why Ting did that. They follow Ting to his apartment where they were shocked to see his entire place covered in Pei's photos. Ting was keeping an eye on Pei for a long time and he knows that Pei is banishing ghosts from the 4th floor. Ting starts crying and Pei finds out that Ting's parents died in the fire 20 years ago and Ting used to talk to his parents as spirits. But Pei made them rest in peace and that was why Ting wanted to murder her. Pei now takes Ting to her place where she showed him the shrines of the spirits she helped, including his parents. Pei clears the air and finally Ting understands. But also we see 2 shrines that were missing and those spots were for the missing spirits. After this, Pei shows Liu the design Yuli made and Liu recognized that design as an old photo. Actually, you see, after the big fire, the cops found a dead body in a refrigerator. It means one of the person was murdered before the fire started and their body was stuffed in a fridge. This scene was indicated in that design and according to Liu, the cops didn't want to solve another murder mystery so they hushed up that case with the big fire one because no one will ask questions anyway. Now suddenly, a spirit possesses Liu and Pei sprang to her feet. The spirit says to Pei to not fear her because she's her mother. But Pei was skeptical and soon she found out that the spirit is not of her mother and that was why Pei chanted a spell and exorcised Liu. But in that hassle, both Pei and Liu fainted. Now when Pei wakes up, she sees that once again Liu is possessed and once again possessed Liu says that she's her mother. However, this time it was true, cause Pei sees the mole on Liu's hand right where it was on her mother's hand. Now Shen's spirit apologized to her daughter for not coming back to her, but Pei scolds her. Pei asks why did she committed unalivement, but Shen explained that she did not committed unalivement, and now the scene goes back in the past. We see Shen and Bai Chi. Bai Chi wanted to go out of the brothel because she was stressed. Actually, the owner of this place, Bao, was a bad guy and he treated Bai Chi like dirt. He always bought her customers who were abusive and that was why Bai Chi was not working for a few days. When Shen finds this out, she advised Bai Chi to work tonight because Bao will get mad if he finds out that Bai Chi is not working. Bai Chi agrees to work, but then that night, the man who comes to Bai Chi turns out to be really abusive. That man beats the shit out of Bai Chi. He had tied her hands and he was forcing himself on her. At one point, Bai Chi gives up and she runs for her life. But just outside the door was standing Bao. Bao didn't let Bai Chi escape and he made Bai Chi beg for forgiveness from that customer. But that abusive man just kicked Bai Chi away and left without pain. This infuriates Bao and he begins to hit Bai Chi. He kicks her, punches her and in the end, he breaks her nose. However, the call for help was echoing in Shen's room, but she was too scared to help. Bai Chi now runs and asks for help from every other lady worker, but no one did. She started banging on Shen's door, and Shen was just on the other side, but she too chickened out of her friendship. And this guilt stayed with Chen even after her death. Now in present, Pei finds all this and she understands that the woman in red is actually Bai Chi's resentful spirit. Scene goes on Francesca, who was watching YouTube, but she sees a door moving by itself in the video, and then suddenly her TV powered on. Francesca was scared, but then the woman in red got her. After a while, Liu wakes up and he sees a really disordered Pei. But then the two hears loud creepy sounds from the fourth floor and they rush upstairs. Liu and Pei checks one room after another, but they did not find anything. In the end, they came across a fridge and it started moving. Then obviously expectedly, the fridge opens and a really creepy possessed Francesca emerges out of it. She was in complete control of Bai Chi, and then she attacks on Pei. Bai Chi even knocks out Liu after throwing him away. And then Bai Chi catches Pei and she screams that she has caught Shen's daughter and now she will kill her for her revenge. It means Bai Chi was seeking revenge from Shen since she didn't help her in the past, and Shen was the one who was writing those stories to warn her daughter. However, soon Shen's spirit came and Bai Chi leaves Pei in an unconscious state and she grabs Shen's neck. But Shen did not resist. Shen too was wandering in grief and guilt because she didn't help her best friend. Scene goes back in the past and we see that Shen ended up opening the door, but she still couldn't help Bai Chi because Abao dragged her away. Shen knew that she was helpless, so she ends up locking herself in her room. Then Abao beat Bai Chi until she dies, and on the other hand, Shen drinks and drinks and drinks until she faints. After Bai Chi's death, Abao stuffs her body in a fridge and closes her eyes, but suddenly the eyes opened themselves, scaring Abao. Bai Chi came back from the dead and the first thing she did was to lit a candle in Shen's room, which resulted in fire. Shen woke up and she tried to escape, but her door was locked, and in the end, everyone on that floor perished with that fire started by Bai Chi. In the present, Shen makes Bai Chi remember all that, and she tells her that she murdered everyone on this floor including Shen. It means Bai Chi already had taken her revenge from Shen and she didn't have to punish Pei for anything. Here Bai Chi finally understands that Shen didn't help her because she had a daughter to take care of, and finally both spirits apologize to each other. The spirits come back to their sisterhood and they forgive each other. It was revealed that this conflict between Shen and Bai Chi was the reason their spirits were not resting in peace, but now they resolved their conflicts and turned back into their normal human forms. A portal to heaven opens and both friends ascend into peace, leaving behind Pei and an unconscious Francesca. Finally, all the spirits of the fourth floor were resting in peace, and soon when Pei wakes up, she finds a missing puzzle piece. It was from the puzzle she was doing with her mother, but she never got to complete it until today. It was a sign that Pei can finally move on in a happy life, and this is where this movie ends. So this was the recap video on the movie Mystery Writers, and I hope you have liked it. If you have, then please subscribe the channel and like this video. I really need your support to grow further. If you want to watch this movie, there's a link to my Telegram channel in the description box. If that link does not work, just go to Telegram and put my channel's name in the search bar. Now what I do, I will provide the movie on a different Telegram channel and then delete it after 7 days for obvious reasons. So if you're watching this video after 7 days, sorry man, you missed this one. If you don't want to miss more, make sure to subscribe and like this video. I'm mostly active on Insta, so you can follow me there as well. And look into my other channel where we discuss about the mysteries of the world. All the links are in the description box. For now, I'll see you all in the next one. Till then, stay awake, because they always see you.